Hi, this is Tom from Nimba Creations. In this video, I'll be applying our hospital zombie prosthetic. I'll also show you how to age the gown and cannula. I start by sticking down the model's eyebrow and sideburn with prosthetic adhesive, so the appliance will lie flat over them. I apply adhesive to the model's cleaned and degreased face with a sponge. Keep away from the areas where the edges will sit for now. I apply adhesive to the matching areas on the inside of the appliance as well. Once again, stay well clear of the edges. Offer up the appliance and press into place. Gently fold back the edges of the prosthetic and apply adhesive to the skin and gelatin with a cotton swab. Pay extra attention around the mouth to ensure a long-lasting bond. When all the edges are stuck down, use some gelatin blender to melt away the fine edges that still show. Using a cotton swab, work a small amount of blender across the edge and onto the skin. Don't be too rough, but also don't be shy. Wipe away any debris. I then sponge on our prosthetic makeup sealer over the appliance and the skin around it to give a uniform material on which to apply makeup. This also brings out the full translucency of the gelatin. On this makeup, I'll be using our own acrylic makeup palette. These colors are activated by isopropyl alcohol. I wet out the colors I will use and get started with a sponge. I blend colors as I go, building up thin layers of makeup, rather than slopping it on. I use a brush next to start detailing and feeding thin color washes into the textures. Keep the colors muted at first, and build up intensity over time. Don't just rush in. Let these washes dry before adding more, so that you can see the true results before picking out your next color. Be subtle and stand back to judge the intensity of the contrasts. I use a denser wash to add runs of infected blood stains. Nice. Cut down a bristle brush and use your finger to flick fine spatters of colors onto the skin to give a mottled effect and add overall tones. Use blood to effect. Don't overwhelm the prosthetic. I concentrated on the nose and mouth to add to the sense of infection and rot. Time for the nasal cannula. More on preparing this later. I glued in some sutures I had tied ahead of time. Trim them once they are adhered. Contact lenses are the final touch. If you are at all unsure about using these, don't. We are about to use various tools and materials to age the costume. Please use extreme care with any of the materials you use. Follow all safety guidelines and instructions. Don't allow children to use these materials. Wear appropriate protective gear, avoid contact with the skin and eyes, and use only in well-ventilated areas. Heavy and medium-grade sandpaper is used to abrade and fray the fabric. Files also help with this. Cheap paintbrushes are a must. I use wood dye, varnish, and shellac to stain fabrics with. Shoe wax, great for staining and adding greasy grime. Scrap sponge is perfect for applying materials. I use spray paint a lot, outdoors only. We bought a hospital gown from an online supplier. Give it a wash to soften it up a bit before you start. Let's prepare the cannula while that's being done. I used an old irrigation syringe to get the liquid into the tubing. A bit of shellac goes into the tubing to get a yellowed effect. Use a brush to get the blood into the nasal tubes. A hairdryer is used to blow air into the tubing via the syringe and the nasal tubes. It will take patience, so put the kettle on. Sand the fabric to give it a worn and frayed look. Be careful, it's easy to wear through the cloth and make gaping tears. I use a warm white spray primer on the printed fabric to give it a faded and laundered look. It reduces the print contrast. Wood dye and varnish are thinned and brushed on to give a first level of dirty grime. Both brush and spatter it for a natural feel. Keep the mix well thinned and build up the look. Don't rush in too quickly. Thinned shellac is one of my favorite things to use. I broke my own rule here. You need to use rubber gloves. The thin shellac really gives that sweat-stained and organic look. Get stuck in and really treat the fabric roughly. It does belong to a zombie after all. Black, brown, or tan shoe wax can be scraped into a plastic tub and partially dissolved with paint thinner. This is sponged into the fabric to add a greasy collar and cuff effect. A dark blood color can be mixed with acrylic paint. You can use fake blood, but do this just before you use the costume so it looks fresh. A small dab of blood here and there, or a well-placed spatter, can be more effective than a full soaking. Finally, a bit more of thin shellac spattered on for texture completes the look. I hope you enjoy making your own undead patient as much as I did.